So, US President Donald Trump is moving to retake control of Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan, and he says the reason is China. We told you this last night. Today, China has issued a warning, and the Taliban is saying Bagram is ours. With Trump linking Bagram to China's nuclear ambitions, the air base is once again at the center of a geopolitical storm, caught between Washington, Kabul and Beijing. Let's break it down for you. First, hear what Trump had to say on Thursday.
They just went through the Afghanistan total disaster for no reason whatsoever. We're going to leave Afghanistan, but we're going to leave it with strength and dignity. And we're going to keep Bagram, the big air base, one of the biggest air bases in the world. We gave it to them for nothing. We're trying to get it back, by the way. Okay, that could be a little breaking news. We're trying to get it back because they need things from us. We want that base back. But one of the reasons we want the base is, as you know, it's an hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons.
On Friday, then, China responded, calling it unpopular to hype tensions in Afghanistan. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian said that China respects Afghan sovereignty and called on parties to, quote-unquote, play a constructive role in promoting regional peace and stability. Analysts say that the facility Trump likely referred to is China's Lop Nur nuclear test range, located in Xinjiang. The flight test distance from Lop Nur to Bagram is 2,000 kilometers, which a modern Chinese fighter jet could cover in about an hour. But experts also warn that many of China's nuclear sites lie farther inland, providing greater protection from airstrikes. Also, Trump's comments come 4 years after America's chaotic withdrawal, which left Bagram in Taliban's hands. Remember, Bagram, just 44 kilometers north of Kabul, was the largest U.S. base in Afghanistan and the hub of America's 20-year war. In 2021, U.S. and NATO forces pulled out, as you remember, chaotically, under former President Joe Biden. Now, 4 years later, Trump wants it back, calling the withdrawal a total disaster. He says he wants Bagram back, but Afghanistan says no. Kabul is not ready for any U.S. presence and rejects the need for a foreign base. Afghan Foreign Ministry official Zakir Jalal said on X, and I'm quoting here, Afghanistan and the United States need to engage without any U.S. military presence. The Taliban, now in control, has pushed back but left the door open for political and economic engagement with the United States. Taliban reportedly don't see foreign troops ever returning. Other Taliban voices have been more forceful, reminding Washington, Bagram is Afghanistan. But Trump, he argues that the base is vital to America because of China. In fact, during his first cabinet meeting after taking office, he said that he planned to retain control of Bagram and station a small U.S. force there. He had said then, and I'm quoting again, we're going to have Bagram Air Base, one of the biggest air bases in the world. It shouldn't come as a surprise. Trump has suggested before that China had taken over the base. But Beijing denies this and has said that it has no military bases in Central Asia. Beijing has also warned that it would firmly oppose any action that undermines its sovereignty and security. But Trump has pushed for control of the base because he claims that it's strategic to America's security and interests. Due to its Chinese nuclear missile facilities, and for US, Bagram also holds symbolic value. Remember, before 2021, Bagram was the main base for US forces post 9/11. Built by the Soviets in the 1950s, it was America's strongest foothold in the region. Bagram base has seen America host counter-terrorism operations, drone missions as well as troop deployments. Since 2021, the base has seen deadly attacks, the collapse of Afghan forces and the Taliban's rapid return to power. The Biden administration defended the 2021 withdrawal as the largest non-combatant evacuation in U.S. history, moving over 124,000 people to safety. That's what they say. But critics, Trump being chief among them, have argued that abandoning Bagram Air Base gave up a strategic asset against China. Trump has continued to highlight Bagram's strategic value, claiming it's just an hour from nuclear sites in Xinjiang's Hami region. But still, analysts warn that reclaiming Bagram could increase US-China tensions. The base's fall allowed the Taliban to quickly consolidate control over Afghanistan. For now, Taliban officials say no foreign troops will return. For now, Bagram is back in the spotlight. Will the US push succeed? We'll have to wait and watch. Now, next up, we track India's evolving ties with the United States and the European Union. Both the US and EU worry about Russia's war in Ukraine, but their approach to India's purchase of Russian oil is diverging. The US recently hit India with steep tariffs, a cumulative 50%, which is among the highest for any of America's trade partners. This was a direct response to India buying Russian crude oil. The Trump administration has continuously criticized India's trade practices, calling the bilateral relationship very one-sided. Despite these actions, Trump has softened his tone in recent weeks. He has done so by expressing friendship with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and even wishing him a happy birthday. Recently, this duality reflects a strategic shift where Trump seeks to maintain a rapport with the Indian leader while pressuring its allies to take a stronger stance against India and China. The US has directly pressured the European Union to impose harsher measures on India. Trump's administration has urged the EU and G7 nations to levy meaningful tariffs on Indian and Chinese imports, arguing that their purchase of Russian oil is funding the war. However, the EU is taking a different path. It's focused on diplomacy and partnership. The EU sees India as a key player and a moderating voice in global forums. That's why the EU is working on a big trade deal with India. It's not just about trade. The EU wants stronger defense ties too. Europe stands to gain significantly as India looks to diversify its defense tech. Germany and France are leading this charge. Germany plans to double its trade with India, while France has repeatedly highlighted shared security goals. Unlike the US and EU favors engagement with India, it wants to avoid extra tariffs and build long-term cooperation. This shows a clear split in how the West handles India amid global tensions. As the UK rolled out the royal pomp and pageantry to host US President Donald Trump for a royal banquet at Windsor Castle, top names from the UK and US government and leaders of tech giants joined in. But one name was missing from the list: London's Mayor Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan's name was not on the 160-strong guest list. The London Mayor has been critical of the US President, and so has been Trump, who called Sadiq Khan nasty in the past. Shortly after wrapping up his 3-day state visit, Trump proclaimed proudly that he didn't want the London mayor to attend the banquet, even though he wanted to be there.
What do you think about the fact that you attend an event in England, a state visit, spectacular, right, and yet the Mayor of London can't be there?
The Mayor of London, Mayor Khan, has done a terrible job. And on immigration, he's a disaster. No, I asked that he not be there. He wanted to be there, as I understand. I didn't want him. I've not liked him for a long time.
Now, tech giants and industry leaders dominated the guest list of the state banquet, which witnessed a lavish show of British royalty. Guests were seated along a 47-meter-long table in St. George's Hall, which itself took over a week to set up and decorate. 139 candles, nearly 1,500 pieces of cutlery and hand-picked seasonal blooms from the gardens at Buckingham Palace adorned the table. With such elaborate arrangements, there's hardly an opportunity for guests to talk to their opposite number across the table. This is what makes the seating arrangement all the more important. The Princess of Wales, Catherine, sat to Trump's right, while King Charles sat to his left. On the other hand, Melania had the Prince of Wales, Prince William, seated to her right and Queen Camilla to her left. Some of the other big names in attendance included Press Baron Rupert Murdoch, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, US Envoy Steve Witkoff, Ambassador-designate to India Sergio Gore, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and tech leaders like Sam Altman, Jensen Huang, Tim Cook and Satya Nadella. Besides an elaborate menu written in French, the guests had a generous wine list consisting of some of the finest English sparkling wine, vintage champagne among others. After dinner, drinks included a 1945 vintage port in honor of Trump having been the 45th US president. There was a 1912 cognac from the birth year of the president's Scottish-born mother as well. A deadly new front has opened in the relentless war on terror. Deep within the unforgiving forests of Jammu and Kashmir, a new threat is emerging. Terrorists are building hardened underground bunkers. WION's Idris Lone reports from Srinagar on how India's security forces are not only fighting back, deploying a high-tech arsenal to hunt down in the shadows. Take a look.
The battlefield in Kashmir is changing fast. Terrorists under mounting pressure, they're no longer hiding in homes or villages. They are burrowing into the earth, carving out concrete bunkers deep within dense forest and along the rugged Pir Panjal range. These fortified underground shelters are designed for survival, secrecy and long wars. Forces are striking back hard. In South Kashmir's Kulgam district, an intense encounter in Gudar ended with a terrorist hideout blown apart, tucked inside a thickly forested mountain slope. In other similar anti-terrorist operation, security forces have unearthed rations, gas stoves, utensils, weapons, ammunition. Clearly, the terrorists were preparing for long stays away from civilian eyes. This shift shows how cornered they are. With dwindling local support and intensified crackdowns, Pakistan-backed terrorists are being pushed out of towns and into the wilderness. The discoveries of fresh supplies and ammunition prove that this is a long-term fight. But with every hideout that crumbles, the forces are gaining ground, ensuring that there is no place left to hide. The terrorist groups have now shifted to the dense forest areas we've seen in the Pir Panjal range and in also South Kashmir's various districts, that multiple hideouts have been busted by security forces in the recent times. Some of them were concrete bunkers, which poses a new challenge for the security forces working in Jammu and Kashmir. With video journalist Feroz, Idris Lone for WION World is One.
For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.